Hello, you're watching a instructional video on how to use the Timber Cruising software application DS Traditional ACS Processor with the working title of DS Tally. It has three tabs at the bottom of the sheet. One of the tabs, the first tab, it says Data Entry. Second tab says Report, and the third tab says Species Codes. This is how you use this processor. You only put data in the green cells. So the first cell is BAF. Now you can use this processor with points to do point cruising, or you can use it with fixed area plots. The way it works is for fixed area plots, you put in a plot size that's less than 1. So for example, if you're using 10th acre plots, you'd put 0.1. In this case, I'm using a 20 factor BAF, so I'm putting a 20 in there for my BAF. And you'll see there's these little instructional windows here that help you know what to put in for data. Now under that is the next cell for confidence limits. And I'm using a 95% confidence limit, or degree of confidence. And so, because it's a percent, you would put in 0.95. Now if you wanted to use an 80% degree of confidence, you'd put 0.8, or 68% degree of confidence, you put 0.68. You can use any confidence limit, degree of confidence that you want. It's just a number to this processor. And then the third box, it's kind of to prepare for this processing, it's just an identifier box. And here I put in test stand number 1. So here's how you put your cruise data in. Again, you only put the data in the green boxes. And so when I clicked on that first box here under point, little message pops up and it says enter the plot or point number here. It must be a number, so you can't put in something like 2A or 2B. It has to be a number, and preferably a whole number. So here I have point number 1, and then I have species. And so if you don't know what the species codes are for this, you go down to the bottom to the gold tab that says species code. I'm going to click it, and those species codes will come up for you to see. You can either print this out and take it with you for your cruise, or you can memorize these. And so in this case, that species code is 1, which is eastern white pine. The next data I put in is the DBH of the tree on the cruise point, and this white pine happened to be 14.7 inches. Now you don't have to take it to a tenth of an inch. You can put the DBH in with any precision that you'd like. Some people use 2-inch diameter classes, some people 1-inch classes. In this case, I happen to use tenth of an inch for my measure trees. And then you put in the saw log height in 16-foot logs and any multiple of that. And so in this case, this white pine was 40 feet tall, so 2.5 16-foot logs. The last column is where you put the merchantable height to a 4-inch top. And the reason we do that is because this calculates the cubic foot volume of the tree all the way to a 4-inch top. Then it deducts the saw timber volume out of that and reports back the pulpwood. Report that as saw logs. It could be 3 or 3.5 or any multiple for merchantable height. So I have 3 cruise points in here already. I'm going to add a 4th one just so you can see how the data gets entered. So here's cruise point 4. And the species there would be a yellow birch, which is species code 12, and the diameter was 13.1, and the saw log height was it was a 12-foot butt log in there. That was the only saw timber in that tree. So I'm going to put 0.75. Whoops! You have to watch how you enter the data. Any little mistake can make for bigger problems during processing. Okay, so I clean that up, 0.75. And the merchantable height I'm going to put in as 2.0 to a 4-inch top. When I hit enter, it takes you to the next line. I'm going to put another tree in for 0.4. And that happens to be a black birch, so that's species code 13. And then the diameter of the black birch was 14.6. And it happened to have 1 1/4 saw logs in it. And it had a total height to a 4-inch top of 2.75 logs. And so I could keep putting more data in, but I think you can see how that works. So now let's process the data so you can see how to process it. So down at the bottom is a green tab that says Report. We click on that green tab, and even though you see some numbers here, we're not done. So you have to go over to the green button over here. It says Process Data. Click here. So I'm going to click that button, and you can see it just makes an adjustment now. It changes it from the last time it was processed, and so now here's the new processed data. And so you can see that. Let's see here. Here are the species that we added in. So there's white pine, yellow birch, black birch, American beech, and red oak. And here are the species codes that we used. Here's the basal area. And so the average basal area is 60, but you can see that it ranges somewhere between 34 and 86. And that has to do with the degree of confidence that we used. Now, I can change these numbers by changing that degree of confidence. And so I'm going to go back and click that tab. I'm going to change my confidence interval to say 0.8 or 80%. And so let's come back to the report and take a quick look at that. You see my numbers look quite a bit better. It's because of just the statistics of confidence, degrees of confidence. And so again, my basal area is still 60, but my confidence limits saying that the basal area could be somewhere between 46 and 73. Now my trees per acre, 52.7, but statistically we're thinking they're somewhere between 41 and 64. The average diameter of the by species is up here. Average diameter of the stand is 14.4. The volume, board feet per acre, by species, you see there's looks like 2,882 board feet per acre for white pine. Nothing for American beech, we didn't put any sawlog heights there. And it has quite a range here. Red oak occurred a lot on these points, and you can see this looks like almost 1,300 board feet per acre. The total is about 5,000 board feet per acre, and it could be somewhere between 3,400 and 6,400. The roundwood is pulpwood, and so this is telling you how many cubic feet there is per acre. So for white pine, 211 cubic feet. Looks like about 2.5 cords per acre if you use 85 cubic foot conversion per cord. For the stand, it looks like about 1,197 cubic feet per acre, and the confidence on that is somewhere between 945 and almost 1,450. The last thing is it comes up with a biomass estimate. So this would be the tons of biomass that are smaller than 4 inches in diameter. So these would be limbs and the top above 4 inches. These biomass estimates, I'm not very confident in the quality of the equations. I think this is using the equations of Lambert and all from Canada. But anyways, they're coming up with a biomass estimate. I don't think you'll find that in most cruise processors, and I just do not like Jenkins and all. That just assigns a biomass for the tree based on one metric, that would be dBH. And as I have used it for tall trees, I actually run into negative biomass at times, which is impossible. These Lambert equations don't seem to be too bad, but it's telling me here I have about 7 tons of biomass per acre, and it could be somewhere between 6.1 and 8.6. And so there it is. That's the Fox Traditional Cruiser, or what we call Fox DS Tally. And you can reach it. You can get a copy of it by sending me an email at forestcruiser, all one word, forestcruiser@live.com. And that's our video. Thank you.